This is a project that Anya did with the technician in sculpture.
Yeah, Liam Fowler. Laser cutting.
Sorry, I forgot.
Well, laser cutting and mechanical ways of drawing.
This is John Purcell from John Purcell Papers, who visited to talk about the industry and his beginnings in it and the manufacture of paper. He also very kindly donated a wonderful box of different papers as a sample box for our students to select from. Another visitor was a friend of Lisa's, Herman Leila, who's a book designer. Yes, I got that right, didn't I? Who came and talked about the books that he'd made, designed, mostly artist catalogues. And we'd have people like Paul Robinson, who's a technical advisor at Winsor and Newton, and my old friend Robin Pender coming to do fresco yet again. We do it every 2 years, so if you don't come and do graduate study at Slade, you get a chance of having a go. Secondly, there's a methods surgery where research is conducted to resolve particular technical material-based undertakings, a particular problem. Sorry, I didn't say that right. We don't always solve the problems. Last week I was looking into using, conservators might help me here, milk as a fixative for charcoal. It works beautifully on graphite. I'd read where Van Gogh, I'd loved its very velvety quality, but I couldn't get it to work on charcoal. I sort of smudged it, so you might be able to help me. And thirdly is the documentation. This is where the results of the research are documented, and information ranges from recipes to cataloguing materials. We also have another project which is very much Gary and Anya's, which is close-up photographic imaging of painted surfaces of the students' work. This is one of our students. It's 14 layers of pigment and egg tempera. This is Min's charcoal on paper. And this is Nadine's oil painting on copper. I have to admit, when I first saw these images and thought of this project, I was very seduced, and I love the aesthetic of the images, but I wasn't really sure what their purpose was. But it's been evident that the students have got an extraordinary amount from seeing their work in a different way, and it's really informed their practice and how they've gone on from that. So
it's been amazing.
It has been amazing, and I must admit I wasn't convinced, but I am now. One of the most exciting outcomes is the development of Pigment and Samples Library, which began quite modestly with samples from students and staff. At present, we have collected over 500 samples, including a very generous donation from the Winsor & Newton archives. And we are currently in negotiations with Kremer Pigments and Cornelissen's for similar donations. This is the introduction of the Pigment Library, Samples Library, to the students in the methods room. And this is the way we have been displaying them until now. With the collection from Winsor & Newton the donation from Winsor & Newton came about from one of our factory visits. They've been trying to rationalise them because they were moving the factory. The factories, all the manufacturing of the paints has gone down to somewhere in the south of France. And they have now a headquarters in Shepherd's Bush, and they don't actually have the storage there not even for their wonderful museum artifacts. And at one of these visits, I was invited to look at the archives, and there was this fantastic. It's a room. It was like an Aladdin's cave. It was fairly chaotic, and jars of pigments, huge jar of cuttlefish ink sacs. I've been after for ages, and great lumps of lazuli, and I'd asked Paul if we could go and visit the archives and take photographs and have a general poke around, and then we sort of went a bit further and asked if we could take small samples from each of the cases, the jars. But as you can see, there's quite a few images here. Anya got very, very excited about this
Yeah,
Oxford.
it might look fairly ordinary, but that's Oxford ochre. It's a really famous supply of English yellow ochre, which I really was amazed to see, because you can't get it anymore.
So this was a kind of typical thing. We'd open a box and find all these lumps of lapis and great jars of vermilion. And look, there we are, sat in amongst all of these boxes, were all just full. You didn't know what you were going to open. And we spent quite a considerable time.
It was heaven, wasn't it?
Well, I was in London because it was paradise, actually. Heaven and paradise. And things like this. And of course, they've been used in their sampling their laboratories. They also have this wonderful collection of recipe books, which we weren't allowed to photograph, even though the recipes go back to whenever. There we go, another one. Have a bit of that. See, no mask there, no health and safety, so airbrush for me. Actually, I can't remember what it is.
No, I can't.
Sorry, I can't. Having shown you. There's cobalt and all sorts in there. So we went through all of these, and we weren't allowed to go into those, and put them into these little sample
We were allowed to take about half a teaspoon.
Well, we couldn't take what we set up. But look at that. There's absolute. We haven't been in those. We're hoping to. It's a lovely shot from their museum, which alas no longer exists. It's been dismantled, and the artifacts are just around the headquarters. But we're hoping to. We're going to borrow some of them for an exhibition at UCL. They also have these fabulous colour charts, books, which we're very, very excited about, which really inspired us to think about making our own. So running alongside the Pigment library samples, we're making books, well, I'll get to them in a minute, which is like a catalogue. That was a little friend of mine who helped last summer. He was a real labour of love, labelling all of the pigments, which is in my studio. And another work experience, this is Yava, who was helping design one of the sample books, and this is 3 different terabytes where we're binding them with 4 different. This is the prototype for our sample books. She was rather marvellous. She wanted to be a librarian, not an artist, so she really had the feel and the eye for creating all of this order. And she sort of last day she organised all my studio and reorganised it all, so everything was in order. All the pigments, all the like, but except I can't actually find anything. So that was a prototype. So it would tell you what the pigment was, its composition and origin, and down the side would tell you what it had been bound with. No, but on the bottom, oil, gum arabic, distemper, and an acrylic medium. So we would open the book and you'd look, and a bit like the sample board I've made and brought today, so you'd get a feel for what that particular pigment looked like. And this is cadmium red light, information, history, and the source. This is Anya, of course. This was only a week or so ago. We have had these beautiful cases designed and made. So they can be on the wall. That's Anya modelling. This resource does give students fantastic access to knowledge that supports their understanding of materials and their appreciation of the possibilities of its practical application. I think of it as it's empowering the practitioner, and you can begin to make more informed choices. The Pigment library is highly valued in the school, and it's very, very visible. But it's also generating interest through other areas of UCL, such as the Petrie Museum and Ruth Siddle of Earth Sciences Department. And she's an expert in pigments, and she's part of the Pigmentum project. And there's also possibility of creating a centre of research. A Centre of Research Excellence on pigments. I have to credit Anya again because she's been incredibly, she spent a lot of time on this and real dedication in developing these links. So, and that's methods room last year. It's getting nice and scruffy now. Part of this project part of this project determines to execute a shift that empowers the practitioner by paying attention to the activity of making and reaffirms the status and understanding involved in the craft of painting, fundamental concerns and knowledge and the implications on the aesthetic decision. Other exciting news is that the Institute of Making will be situated at UCL from this month, which will create other avenues for cross-disciplinary collaborations. They have an extraordinary library of materials, research base and education events. This is also another exciting departure for us. This is a very large picture of a very small case, which is our museum of material, which aims to promote the knowledge, understanding and appreciation of the role of material in thinking and making. And exhibits can be anything that relate to material, a finished product in its own right, or an unprocessed raw material. That's a sort of full stop. It's one of my paintings. I have to say I've been teaching at the Slade for almost 26 years, and I've been waiting for this for a long time, and it all seems to be happening very quickly, and it really is gathering momentum. We're now going to introduce the Know, which is the knowledge-based website where all of this information is stored and which you can access. So can we go on to?
Yeah.
What was fortuitous, as I was planning and hoping to create a web page, of course somewhere else in UCL, in the Slade, other people were thinking the same. It wasn't such a genius, a stroke of thought of genius. It was obviously a desperately needed facility. So we have all joined forces, and it's called the Slade Knowledge Base website. It was its working title, and we thought actually it's as good a title as anything to describe what it does. But within the school, it's known as the Know. So. And you say to people, you can always now look on the Know, or do you know it's on the Know? It's divided, yeah, I think that'll be smaller. And yes, I don't know why some of the information to outsiders is not accessible, but most of what we put on. No. Zoom in. No.
Can you see it all?
No. I'm glad you're doing that and not me. This is getting bigger.
Just keep on going. Yeah.
There we go, here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as you can see, it's divided into parts of the school. There's painting. You click on painting.
This is the image library with Gary Woodley, where we were photographing very close up images of paintings to get more of an idea of the structure of materials, the structure of surfaces and stuff. Sorry.
Yeah, we did want them not painted. There, at the bottom,
Too low. Down. It does jump about like this.
It's a tricky mouse, that. So we have recipes. A guide to artist careers. Don't we look at that? Lisa's essay. You could have read her essay actually before she read it out to you. If you'd known. Yes. Materials research project. There you go. So these are Arthur Lucas's notes. There's no, come on, no, it's all right. Materials research project. Yeah. That's all about. You could have read all about this actually on Rome. That's the wonderful thing about. So I brought some leaflets there that you can see the address, because you might find it of interest, some of the recipes there. We've gone over time, I'm really sorry. It's your turn. Sorry about that.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Do you want to just escape it? Oh, this is it.
Thank you, Joe. I'm very privileged to be in the position of being the honorary research assistant at the Slade. My practice coincided with this incredible resurgence of interest in materials, and the two things seem to fuse together really perfectly. My own particular interest is trying to get to know the origins of materials in order to understand what I'm using more clearly. I think it's one of the things of one of the parts of wanting to know more about the mystery of painting, really. And I've found that learning about materials in as clear way as possible is my route to learning about painting. And somehow I feel that the mystery and the magic of painting comes through the materials themselves. So alongside my own practice, I have had this incredible opportunity to work with students' own questions about materials and materiality in their own paintings, and how they have approached particular problems and tried to find the route to expressing themselves more clearly through the materials they've chosen. And that discussion and conversation I've had with students has been extremely rewarding for me, really, and I've learnt really as much as anybody, I think. I'm showing some slides of a project. Well, I came to the Slade last year with some research that I was just at the beginnings of, really, just at the beginnings of developing. And it made great sense to, when I met Jo, or re-met Jo after my time as a student at the Slade 10 years previously, that her thinking about materials alongside my thinking about materials, alongside the philosophy that was bubbling up in the Slade at the time, fitted together or rather knitted together, to make a really interesting research project. So Joe and I have been developing a piece of research which we hope to get funding for, which is a collaboration between the Slade School of Art and the Hamilton Carr Institute in Cambridge. Now, the Hamilton Carr Institute are a conservation, they're the sort of conservation wing of the Fitzwilliam Museum up in Cambridge, and I've been working for a couple of years now, on and off, with one of their researchers, Spike Bucklow. And he and I have had a really interesting conversation about material and the properties of particular materials, and the history and the mythology, in some ways, of particular materials. And in particular, he and I worked together on a project that was about chalk. This is a quarry in Cambridge, not far away from the institute, where I was making a piece of work, and we just started a conversation about chalk and what is chalk and what is the nature of chalk. And so this has really developed into a project that runs through my own practice as an artist. I am looking for the pigments or the colours in the landscape.